On this first episode of By the Wayside of 2026, I speak with the host of the Creative Imbalance, Sean Sirianni, and we have lots of fun. Stick around. Stick around. Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. Of course, I am your host, Jordan Middlebrook, and with me today, all the way from the Big Smoke himself, the host of the show, The Creative Imbalance, Sean Sirianni, is with me today. Sean, thank you very much for taking the time coming to Wayside Comics and Cocktails and spending some time with me to learn a little bit about you and your podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is such an awesome place. I can't stop looking around at all the nerd stuff, so I'll try to keep my focus and look you in the eye.
One of the things about this is I purposely bring people here, not just because Omar, who is the shop owner of Wayside Comics and Cocktails, allows me to do episodes here, but because when I need to stumble or when I'm having trouble with my own words, it allows the people to be distracted by the things. So it's just like, oh look, there's a Batman comic, and then we go about our business.
Yeah, I've just been looking around at like things I want to buy that I don't need, like that Deadpool over there and everything.
Sean, you know what? We're gonna get right into the questions.
Amazing.
First question: what is the Creative Imbalance?
The Creative Imbalance is something I made a little bit before I started podcasting. I'm big in the videographer world, and basically I moved to Toronto with a little Sony cam and a dream, and I just started working with artists. Originally started working at a recording studio called Euphonic Sound, and I was making all these little documentaries on different musicians coming in and doing their sessions. I thought I wanted to make big documentaries on all these different people. And then I realized without a budget, it's impossible. I'm going to starve to death. And then I've always been like a huge consumer of podcasting, even to the point where they weren't even calling it podcasting. I used to watch Tom Green's house where he called it the Webovision. I was just always a fan of that type of medium. And then something just clicked one day where I'm like, oh, I can tell these big stories, but through audio in a short bit of time by just asking questions like you do. And it's just started snowballing, and I branded it the Creative Imbalance. And the idea came from the logo itself, with this like the broken light bulb. Yeah. And I feel like you can interpret it like different ways, whether it's a broken idea or it's just like an idea that it's exploded. And that's cool. So yeah, I thought of the light bulb for whatever reason, and then the name The Creative Imbalance came from that. I don't even remember the day or like when it hit me, but it came after the logo.
What I really think is cool is about when you're talking about the logo, the broken light bulb, is that you allow it to be interpreted by someone else. I think that's quite interesting. There's more of a creative nature to the actual logo.
Yeah. And I got to give a shout out to my friend, Marie Rupolo, who's a designer and made that logo too. She just does awesome doodles and stuff. So I told her I need a broken light bulb, and I didn't give her too much creative direction. I just wanted her style and her like just go with the flow, make something for me. And first draft, I'm like, perfect. That's my logo now too. So yeah, it's
one and done.
Perfect. Yeah, one and done. There you go.
Sean Sirianni,
yes,
your podcast, The Creative Imbalance. Mm-hmm. Can you describe it in 3 words?
I just say, off the top of the head, ultimate passion.
Now, what's really interesting about that is that because you love talking to people and bringing their creativity to the forefront. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about the passion, do you talk about your passion, or do you talk about the passion of those that you interview?
I mostly talk about the passion of those who I interview, but a lot of times when we're just in conversation or I'm asking these questions, something comes up that hits home to me, and I'll bring that into the conversation. Usually my prime focus is the guest at all times, but a lot of things like pop up just very organically where I'll put myself in it. And I also feel like that helps the interview as well too. Yeah. Like it creates like a back and forth and like a dynamic that you didn't expect.
Becoming relatable, not just to the guest, allows the audience to sort of come into the conversation and it's almost like they're sitting there with you, learning a little bit more about you, the host, so that they keep coming back to you and they go, oh, Sean, let's learn more about Sean. Oh, wait, Sean's brought someone else into his world. What is Sean talking about when it comes to this guest, this artist, this creative person? Yeah, it's interesting how, as the host, there is a balance between, as a host myself, there's a balance between wanting to relate to the audience and to the guest, but also that guest needs to shine more than the host. It's such a wild dynamic that really the balance can be very difficult at times.
Yeah, and I feel like, but once you put in your hours and everything, it becomes way more natural to the point I'm not thinking about it. And I've kind of adapted this style where it'll start sounding like two people just having a conversation, but I'm actually guiding the conversation through questions.
Yes.
So it sounds like we're going a little bit off the rails, and then something will relate, and I'll be like, oh, that's related to my later question. I'll just segue into that, and it just turns into almost this, hopefully, like, when it goes perfectly, which it doesn't always, it's like, it's all people chemistry and everything. It's almost feels like when you listen to it, you're just on a ride and you go through it. And I find like a lot of the podcasts I'm fans of, they give me that experience too. And I noticed after time, I'm starting to adapt that style where it just kind of flows together.
Yeah. Hosting isn't easy. I think you know this, I know this. Sometimes people, they always say you're really good at it, but the mental gymnastics to host it is literally mental gymnastics. I don't know about you, but usually after I'm done an interview, I am exhausted.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of
social
talking.
Battery.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man,
it's like it is thing. Literally a workout. It's a mental workout, and then it kind of goes like your brain's just like, dude, you gotta just take it easy, and then it's just I am just exhausted.
Yeah, even the prep. It's funny too doing an interview show because you're thinking about a conversation that hasn't happened yet.
Yep,
and that's always fun too. And sometimes it'll like go as you imagine, or sometimes it just goes somewhere else, and
it's always the best when it goes in the direction that you want. You sit and you worry. You go, oh, this individual is always quote unquote mousy when I see them in real life, or they're very talkative when I see them in real life. And then you worry about, in what direction can I steer this? What happens if I have to talk so much and there's so little guest interaction? And then that interview happens to go the opposite way.
Yeah.
And it's such a great feeling when you worry so much about how negative an interview can go, and it always ends up going in a positive direction. I absolutely love that feeling. I've never had a bad experience with a guest, but my mindset is as a host and as the producer and as the editor of the show, by the wayside that you are currently on right now, is that I have to predict that every episode is going to go wrong. So that I am always prepared to correct, delineate, and steer the current interview, the post-production, and then the, not marketing, but afterwards, the direction of the audience to watch. I don't think people understand that you always have to prepare for the worst when you are doing an interview show.
Definitely.
Always prepare for the worst.
I find that it's funny. I get a lot of inspiration for my interviews, not from interviews but itself, like almost from other art forms, like maybe improv comedy, the battle rap stuff, or things where you have to have moments of like free flow. I see somebody even I listen to like a lot of pro wrestling podcasts too, and they got a whole thing where it's just like sometimes they'll lose their place and just like start calling in the ring but not let the audience know it, little like tricks like that too. And sometimes I feel like when I'm listening to one of these people in those professions talk, I'm like, oh, this relates to being an interviewer as well. Like just the mentality of trying to keep the ship on course type of thing as it's swaying back and forth and everything.
There is it's a delicate balance to do a show like this. And as one host to another host, kudos. It's not an
back at you.
It is not easy. I know it is not easy. Okay, Sean, sorry, someone just walked by Main Street and looked directly into Wayside Comics, and I made eye contact with them, and it threw me right off.
Bring him in.
Do you want to be interviewed?
Yeah. What do you do, sir?
Sean, the Creative Imbalance, your
Yes.
podcast. Why is it? Oh my goodness,
It's all good.
my brain shut off. Why is it important that you host a show like the Creative Imbalance?
I feel like it just gives people a space to use their authentic voice. I find sometimes I'm watching some other shows, I'm not going to put any on blast, but like a lot of like the mainstream media, television stuff, and I find the stations or whatever, they have a certain agenda and they're just asking like these, I don't know, formulaic questions you hear everywhere over and over again, keeping it safe or whatever, where I find I just kind of like make it more of an open canvas. And a lot of guests I've had on the show say I do a good job, like just unconsciously, like making them comfortable.
Yeah.
And some of the biggest compliments I've ever seen is on my YouTube, interviewing maybe like a band or an artist who has this legacy, and then somebody commenting like, hey, I didn't know that about them. Like, that's cool. And that's like gives me like the biggest charge. It's
always
everything.
nice
Yeah.
when you can add something to when the audience actually interacts and they respond in a way recognizing that your show is doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
Definitely.
The mandate for this show specifically is to introduce the audience to creative people. So when someone comes back to me, whether it's personally, privately, or on like a comment on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that, and they say, I didn't know that about them, or I've never heard of this person, or that looks really cool, I'm going to check it out. It's such a high.
Yeah. And it's almost like makes you feel like, holy shit, I really did my job on that one. Especially if you're talking to somebody who's done thousands of interviews too, that you can see all over the place. It's just the coolest thing. And even, I don't know, it's interesting just when I take a second to look at everything from the third person, which I don't often do. Sometimes I get in my own head. And sometimes I can't believe I'm doing this with like having these conversations with some people I grew up like listening to, or like movie stars and everything. Cause I used to obsessively like just watch much music and stuff for the interviews itself, or even listen to Howard Stern when I was too young to, but I love like just the interview portion, but I never thought I was going to be doing this. It just kind of, the way life shifted, it organically put me in a position to do this. And I feel like it, in a bigger picture, it's a meant to be thing in more ways that I can even say. Like I turned this into like a 4-hour episode of all the spooky serendipitous that's happens, like to put me in these positions. And even at moments when I'm like, oh, I'm tired, I don't know if I should be doing this, just something will happen and it's like, hey, Sean, like, no, you're here, this is why we do this, and this is a reminder. And it's I feel like it's something bigger than myself too, which is fun and exciting.
I like that. I like that a lot. Sean, speaking of taking a break, which we're going to do right now. Stick around. We have lots more with the host of the podcast, The Creative Imbalance, Sean Sirianni, coming up right after this.
This is By the Wayside, and we'll be right back.
We are back. Host of the podcast, The Creative Imbalance, you have a secret talent, rap battling. Would you rather host an in-person award show or rap battle again?
Definitely an in-person award show. Oh my God. So context around the rap battle. How much time we got? Basically, long story short, when I was talking about those early years of me grabbing a camera and going to Toronto, I fell into the hip hop community in Toronto, and the battle rap community embraced me. And for years, I've been a fly on the wall of like some of the biggest battles in history. There was a few years Toronto became like the mecca of battle rap, a big league in the States that did like the LA region, the New York region kind of had a lull, and everybody was coming to Toronto, like the best in the world. So I've been a fly on the wall, and even doing some other leagues that aren't on a bigger scale. There's this one called Beast Mode, and that's actually where I did my battle rap. And I did compare them to, I guess a lot of Canadians watch this show. If the one big league is the Toronto Maple Leafs, Beast Mode's kind of like the Toronto Marlies. It's like people
Fair enough.
getting their experience with that. And another long story short, they do this thing called the Battle Royal. And it's like kind of, they put a bunch of different MCs all in the ring together. They all insult each other. It's like not a one-on-one match. And it's usually like somebody who doesn't have like their opponent, like no show or whatever, just so they can do something. And for a while, people were saying, oh, you should be like a secret in the Battle Royal. People will lose their mind. And I finally agreed to it. And I knew who I was battling. And I was like, had a solid strategy of what I was going to say to him. And I felt like it was an unbeatable idea.
Yeah.
Because even my perspective of being the cameraman and stuff, like I had like this whole concept. And I had the audacity to tell them to put my name on the flyer as one and done. Because I knew in my mind this was going to be my only battle. I was going to win it and then retire 1-0, one and done. So I did it. And it was against 3 other guys. So basically my concept was I make fun of each of them. I make fun of them together. Then I turn around and I just kind of like roast the whole room in a way. And this is actually comic book related. Again, I'm the cameraman. I'm the editor. For this battle league, I take care of all their YouTube footage and everything. And I forget how I set this up, but I basically said, and I got a message for anybody who's ever stepped in this ring. I am your God. I am your king. I'm Thanos. I snap, I'll pull out my phone and delete the whole channel. And then a mosh pit, like nobody, like, and I built to that moment. And like, it just like a bomb went off and I got like an energy high that I never had before. Like I barely, like if there wasn't footage, I wouldn't remember it. I just like was like blackout in the mode. And I just was getting pushed around like people go, ah! I don't know if you've seen the skit Super Hot Fire. So I had like that moment in real life and I'm glad I did it. Thanks for Beast Mode for giving me that moment. And also being in the scene so long, I noticed like a lot of up and comers, they would ask me like different advice, but also I felt weird about giving the advice because I never stepped in the ring myself. I just watched a lot of battle rap, fly on the wall type of stuff. So I finally did it. And I don't know, some things I thought would work, I showed that it worked. And now I can like kind of talk to it with people, even though like I don't regularly do it. Like if a newer up and comer asks me about like what they can improve on to, and even it's crazy. Like interviewing, I learned battle rap. That's an infinite thing you can work on and everything. Because after I was done, I was like, oh, I could have did this better and this better. Even though I destroyed it, I get in my own mind where I'm like, I stumbled here and like this was supposed to connect to this. But nobody remembers the beginning. They just remember me telling them I was going to delete all their footage.
Yeah. It's the high moments, right?
Yeah,
you could watch Avengers Endgame, which is what, a 2+ hour movie, but you really only remember the important parts. Cap picking up Mjolnir. Avengers Assemble. It's always the high points that you remember. And then with a rap battle, it's the decimation at the end that lets the audience know that this is done. You are done. Remember me forever.
Yeah. And some kids in that circle, like, again, I call them kids. We had this conversation. They're in their 20s. They call me Thanos, comic book related, because of that moment.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. Well, we're talking about rap battling. We're talking about the hip hop scene that you are a part of. We're a part of, currently a part of. What is Girth Radio?
Girth Radio. Oh, that was a magical place. Rest in peace, Girth Radio. Basically, a podcasting network ran by Sammy Union, who was a guest here. And it was fun, awesome collective. It was out of a bar called the Pacific Junction Hotel. This podcasting studio was like the best fever dream I ever had. I can't believe I had this moment in my life. I think about it all the time. Such happy times. We weren't getting paid to do it, but all the drinks and food was on the house, which was a secret weapon in my early years to get guests on the show. And even like some bigger names that I didn't deserve at the time because I haven't put in my hours or whatever. I'd just be like, hey, like you got a concert going on up the street, like later come by for some beers, I'll do an interview. And they're like, oh yeah, sure. Or even like film publicists, as they're doing media tours, they love to stop in and everybody gets fed and we drink. And have a conversation. And
free food and free drinks is like
Yeah.
the ultimate conversation lubricant, right?
Oh, definitely. And even to the point, later episodes, I made a rule that we don't have more than one beer until after the episode. Or sometimes they'd come in, I'd be like, hey, let's eat first and drink. And then we're on the mic. And this is the only era where like a lot of people were hitting me up after. It's like, hey, can you take this part out? And blah, blah, blah. I shouldn't have said that. I wasn't supposed to talk about that. And like, I got you. It's like,
In all of the 2 years that I've done By the Wayside, have I ever had one individual ask me to alter a cover photo,
oh, okay.
like a YouTube thumbnail?
Oh, really?
That's
They just didn't like how they looked there.
It was just, there was a better one that existed, and they had asked me to change it. And I said, yeah, it's absolutely no problem. Like, this is not an infinite network of a chain of people. You just text me and say, hey, and I say exactly what you said, Sean. I got you. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. And maybe it could be a fun little game, is if everyone wants, they could go to the YouTube channel, they could go to waysideshow.com, and they can find out and try to figure out and send me a distinguished message about whether or not who they think that guest was.
Ooh,
I know I'm the only one who knows who it is. So.
that's fun. Yeah, I'm gonna be like looking at all your thumbnails when I get home now.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. I thought I had a joke after good luck, but I didn't. Sean, with almost 300 episodes of the Creative Imbalance under your belt, which one has been your favorite interview?
There is so many, and I don't want to spend an hour going, So right off the top, the first thing that kind of came to mind was the one I did around the 35th anniversary of the legendary death metal band Cannibal Corpse. And I just thought it just had an awesome flow to it. And it was one of those ones I was talking about early, or where I was getting so many messages where people were saying, oh, I didn't know that about him. I've never seen him so relaxed and blah, blah, blah. And it was just had such a great flow to it too. It just felt good, and amazing guests and everything. And even like the stuff he was talking about too. One of their first big breaks, they were in the movie Ace Ventura with Jim Carrey.
Yep.
And it was just like, we went through their whole legacy of like 35 years, kind of sped run that in a half hour. And it just like came out like a nice little puzzle, It's like a perfectly baked pie. And I was like, felt really good about that one. And it was like very well received. And one of my favorite comments when I first posted it was, somebody wrote, it's like, why the hell doesn't this video have thousands of views yet? I went back to that comment when it was like at like 5,000 or something, and was like, thanks for being the first one to watch this interview. And now I think it's at like 11K or something.
Oh, right on.
But yeah, it's super cool. And like lots of fans of that band enjoy it, which makes me love it even more too. It makes me proud of that piece to give to somebody and have that experience if they're like a super fan of that band. But when you ask that question, there's so many cycling through my head for different reasons.
And I guess with 300 episodes, the Rolodex of interviews and insane fun moments must be in the, like, I say 300 episodes, but moments in each episode is multiple moments. So you could have potentially thousands of really fun moments over the course. I mean, I'm only asking your favorite and most memorable interview, but at the same time, those moments are what make you as a host feel like, oh, I was meant to do this.
Yeah. And I feel like even it's cool. I'm going back to in-person interviews, like just the pandemic, you know how it is. It shifted everybody on the Zoom calls and everything. And I found a really decent studio space. Shout out to Sleepless Studios. We're going to be rocking some in-person stuff. But I find with all the in-person ones of the Girth Radio era, a lot of the moments I remember aren't even during the interview. It was like the fun we had around the interview, or just like little side conversations or laughs or moments, or
that's awesome.
Them being stuck in traffic and finding the place. Like there's like so much like little like silly stuff that I'm gonna remember forever of like these different artists and creators that people don't really see, like the human side of when they're not on the microphone.
The important thing about the Creative Imbalance isn't just the impact you've made on your viewers and the fans of the people that you interview, but it's also the impact and legacy that it's created on your person and the lasting memories that you'll have,
Mm-hmm.
and how the last 300 episodes has helped shape you into a potentially a better host,
Mm-hmm.
a better person, and just a well-rounded, nice guy.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
Maybe somebody will argue. Maybe they'll be in the comments. I know he's not a nice guy, but yeah, I find really interesting about my mentality towards the creative imbalance as a whole is just the other week I won an award, a Canadian Podcast Award for Outstanding Art Series, and it hit me after that. I was just thinking like of all these ideas for next year,
Yeah.
and it's, even though I won that award, it still feels like a beginning seed of something bigger.
Yeah.
Which is hella exciting too.
Yeah.
And like just the wheels turning about what I'm doing next week and like the future of like 2026. So that's another thing that I don't know. It's, even though I've been doing this for like a decade, it still feels like the beginning of something else.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what that something else is, because it's always organically flowing and changing with the different times. Like I mentioned the pandemic, it turned into Zoom calls, back in person, and and just all these other like seeds I don't want to give away, but some upcoming guests who are really exciting as well.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, I am 100% on board and looking forward to seeing what more comes out of you and the Creative Imbalance. And I encourage everyone to, his name will pop up here, of course. Go and follow all of his social media. Go and subscribe to his channel. Sean, thank you very much for coming to Wayside Comics and Cocktails and being a part of the show By the Wayside. I've quite enjoyed this time together, and I look forward to learning more about you in the future.
Yeah, awesome. I just want to say thank you for having me. It's not often I'm on the other side of the interview, and I actually had to fight like not asking you, like taking over. But yeah, I've done a few of them, and this was probably the best interview I've done. So thank you so much.
Awesome. All right.
Cheers.
Stick around because we do have more with Sean right after this, so don't go anywhere.
But I don't care. I get a rush talking down to these deadbeats. What up to Neil Peart? And I have a message. That was nice. I have a message for anybody who's ever stepped in this ring. I am your god. I am your king. I'm Thanos. Let's go. I snap, I'll pull out my phone and delete the whole chat.
What a fun episode of By the Wayside. Of course, I want to thank my guest, Sean Sirianni from the Creative Imbalance podcast that is very much akin to what I do here on By the Wayside, which is introducing you, the audience, to creative people. Sean was lots of fun. Sean was open to all sorts of different things, and I can't thank him enough. It was awesome. What an awesome time. If you are looking to share this show with your friends and family, of course, Wait, this way. Doink. This is the social media you can find. It's really important that you like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the fun things that helps get this show, By the Wayside, out into the atmosphere, the stratosphere, the ether of all the really fun things that exist here on the show, that is recorded, definitely, at Wayside Comics and Cocktails in Newmarket, Ontario. Again, I am your host, Jordan Middlebrook, and I encourage you to share the show. Reach out to me if you want to be a guest. 2026, Season 3, it's here, baby. It is definitely here. I'm Jordan Middlebrook, and I will catch you by the wayside.